Welcome back to Phantasy Star 2, gang. I don't know if we can get our next party member right now or if I have to actually enter the next city. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, I guess we gotta just wait until we get to the next city in order to do that instead of it being tied to the recent story event. That's fine, but I was not sure. Because the next town is not that far off, I don't think, so... As long as we just go over there, the passageway where Dario or whatever his name was, I've forgotten. I apologize. We cross through here, and it shouldn't be too far off from this entrance, hopefully. No, maybe not as close as I thought. Well, in that case, I suppose it's fair-ish. Okay, here we go. Wow, we managed to walk that entire way quite safely. Hold on one second, I'm pulling this up again so I have that over on the side, and... This will be the town of... Do we have the name yet? Can we talk to these people? Opta, okay. Biosystems lab located in the southern part of this town. Well, we just came out of the south end, so... Yeah, I think the Star Mist purges our status effect in Moondew is quite rare, but acts as a revive item. Which will be quite nice to have a couple of those around. Gamer feel... God. Wow, okay. Oh, yes, buddy. I'm sure that any machine is capable of not making mistakes. That seems... Mother Brain is something from a different game franchise. Anyone else here got any real information for me? A musician. Oh, right. I had some interesting things to say about that once we actually find the dude. Wow, okay, Tab. Why you gotta say things like that? Alright. To the BIOS. Well, do you have any more information on what that thing in the basement of the Biosystems lab is? It might just be a generator. It looks like everybody around here is having some not a whole lot of food available options. Yeah, buddy, I probably it did, but I wouldn't know yet. I mean, this place looks okay. Yes, nobody wants to go into the basement. Just a standard fantasy game with sci-fi overlay. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, honestly. You're not really wrong about that. That is kind of how it did be back in the day. Okay, so I guess we go back to Passio for 60. Hey, they got fast travel though, at least. You know, somebody had an idea at Sega. We got to give them credit for that. Oh, hi. Who's this small child? A doctor, I see. I think that's just the art style, making her look like a small child. I don't need to rename you. You're not wrong. I agree with that. So let's go ahead and add her to the party. Okay, the interface threw me off for a second because I saw there were 2 and 2, and I was like, wait, why are Rolf and Nay out of the party? That'd be really stupid. And indeed, it kind of would be a little stupid, but let's go see how much stuff we can actually buy for our friend here. Oh, I think all the, like, actually useful equipment is further on, so I may have to wait until then. Can I pick up her weapon here? She can wield a scalpel, apparently. Alright, make sure you equip your stuff before you go. Because of a reason. Oh, she already has that to start with. What the fuck was I doing? Oh. It's like the crazy lady from Gundam Double Zeta. Yeah, I highly suspect that Gundam was like a very big inspiration behind a lot of why any of this, behind a lot of this design. And yes, I just wasted some money because I'm a goofball and I didn't assume that my new party member would have gear. In my defense, everybody starts this game at level 1. So, like, it doesn't seem like that much of a leap of logic to be like, oh yeah, this game's a real asshole. It wouldn't give us any equipment to start with. Oh hey, get to fight some more bugs here. I'm just going to press the B button to speed through those fights a little bit. Because, hey, we've seen these enemies before. Wow, large bugs. Who could have imagined? Oh, I see the spider was providing all the speed for this party last time, huh? Yep, we get to fight giant bees in this area. We get to cage it up. Ah, here we go. Here's something a little bit stronger. Ish. Of course, it's still pretty weak, but that's okay. I'm not really gonna, like, get mad about that. So let's take a look at our thing that's horribly squeezed by the character limit and see what she needs. 26 more experience to gain a level, huh? They don't make these characters easy to level up early on, but of course, this is definitely, I've got to say that out of the sort of 3 most popular RPG franchises of this era, and I would apologize to any of the SMT fans out there, but I don't feel like it. This was definitely among the more popular RPG series alongside Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. This one has just kind of historically been the hardest. Like, some real mean bullshit going on with some of that, right? Hey, level your character all the way up from level 1 every time you get a new character. Thank you. Hey, she learned an ability, and she didn't die, which is more important. What you got going on? Okay, you just have standard res. To recover your 17 max HP back to full. Ah, yes, I love when the healer is completely ineffectual. Well, I guess they couldn't make them too much fun, right? Because if you do that, then you just are playing FF1, and at that point, what's... well, I didn't have a good follow-up there. I sort of oopsed on some words there, like... what was going to be the joke? What was indeed going to be the joke? Anyway, yeah, I'm doing a little bit of this because even aside from getting experience for our healer, we do kind of need money. Like, I can assure you I do not have enough money to get the gear upgrades that we can get in this town. Oh yeah, click state and that'll show us our money. Yeah, 2,100, that's not gonna cut it. Surely. Yeah, I need at least 2,400 to get just Nae's weapons. So yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the... yeah, I mean, and the Waspy is the more powerful enemy because, naturally, Wasps just kind of suck more. Also... I like how that Bee and Waspy are not the same enemy sprite. Like, there's already a palette swap of the Bee, but it's not the Wasp enemy. In fact, it's using a palette swap of the Mosquito sprite. Who cares? All bugs are basically the same anyway, aren't they? Right? Classic insect racism. Oh yeah, because the wasps are like just copies of the mosquito enemy. They steal health from us when they attack us, and they heal themselves. Yes, I think that would make wasps significantly worse if they were vampires. Flying bug with a long neck. I mean, yeah, you got a point. That's already a Pokemon design, basically. Tell me how much... yeah. Next level. No, I think I have to actually go into town to get that, and the EXP number is just how much actual EXP points you've collected. Because, hey, classic, extremely old RPG. They are not telling us shit. You just have to guess things. UI could use... Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But you gotta remember, this game came out in 1989 in Japan and 1990 elsewhere in the world. I don't think they knew how to design things back then. So they were just like, let's try things. Maybe it will technically function. Actually, I suppose I should reserve jokes about maybe it will technically function until Phantasy Star 3 comes up, because, ooh boy, that's a game that can be completely obliterated quite easily. You can basically just sort of back out of the first sequence of things in a way, and it will ruin the game if you do it a certain way. A Sonic Adventure 2 battle mod that puts a goose over Sonic. That's fun. Alright, what do we got? We got enough money to buy 2 ceramic bars. You know, bars. That's what they're... I explained this in the previous stream, but of course they were intended to be claws, but for some reason, the completely screwed up translation here. This series always seems to get the short end of the stick when it comes to, like, quality of translation. You'll just get a lot of them being complete butt for some reason. Like, okay, a lot of the time this game is getting shafted by pardon me, by... I got distracted in terms of words there. By character limits. That's a bit of a problem. Because, as you can tell, we got a guy in our party named Rudo, and his actual full name is Rudolph. Plus a surname, so I guess saying full name is not even correct. But, the point here is that they didn't do a lot of fixes to that for some reason. Because, I guess, programming that would take extra time. But there's also just a lot of, like, weird translation choices in general in a lot of parts. Rudo and Rolf. And then they just turn into a clown who's named Rudolph for some reason, but... Okay, let's go take a look at what our recommendations are for this point. Make sure the mouse is off screen, because I don't know if that's getting captured on my thing, but if it is, oops. So you can wear a cape for some reason. Oh, yeah, go ahead and actually equip everybody real quick. Oh, yeah, I didn't get you anything yet, Rolf. Eventually. Cape. Fiber headgear. Which I guess is what that is. And nobody else has anything yet, so... Yep, just hand over that thing and go back in here. Here, Nate, wear this upgraded vest. Because apparently that's all of the armor you're allowed to wear is a vest. Can't let the cute fan service girl wear too much. Wait. Anyway. That phrase is mostly a bit. I think if this game had more words in it, I would be able to genuinely say, hey, I like everyone in this game, but I'm pretty sure that this one is still a little bit spare because, well... Genesis game on a whole whopping... 6 megabits. So not a whole lot, really, but also 1989, so... As we've discussed. Bunny suit Eggman. That's... I'm glad for this. This is a good choice. One that I'm surprised didn't happen sooner, I guess. Yeah, see, and now Nea is doing actual damage now she has her ceramic claws. Which, you know, harder than steel, although actually, I shouldn't say that. There are some ceramics out there that are quite solid. I mean, honestly, sure, why not? I don't know how often I'm going to use it, because I usually, if I'm going to play Sonic Adventure 2, I usually just play it on my GameCube. But saying that, well, first of all, one, I could probably, if it's a GameCube mod, I could load it onto my Wii. And second of all, I think there are things that would allow me to actually play, you know, disc images, as it were, on the GameCube, right? Like, there's utilities to allow me to boot stuff off of a... Yeah. Not exactly a memory card, but similar idea. I think there's shit like that for the PS2 also, which I would probably want to get that just by virtue of the fact that it'd be nice to be able to play that on something that would probably give me closer to actual hardware performance. Hey, Retro. Carrier pigeon, yeah, it's something, alright. It's certainly no, well, like, I was gonna say any StarCraft vehicle. Because I know there was a carrier, I think the carrier in StarCraft was a Protoss thing. But I was thinking that, and then I was actually thinking of the battlecruiser for a second. The battlecruiser. I think we got some more gear we can pick up. Do we have the money for it, though, yet? Okay, yeah, I think we basically just need to get a headgear enhancement for Rudo here. And then we should be good to go, probably. Yeah, interestingly, I don't think I've seen any leg gear for sale whatsoever. Nobody in the far future of the Algol system sells footwear of any kind, I guess. Listen, you've heard of that boots theory thing from Discworld. This is like a more extreme version of it. Anyway, after all the like half hour that we did of level grinding and money grinding, more importantly, we are going to save over our previous save spot, and off we go. That's right, I'm feeling so confident I'm not picking up more healing items. Like some kind of fool. But listen, both Nay and Amy have some tech points, so we'll probably be okay. Probably. Now before we go in there, we're gonna check everything over here. Interestingly, the poisoners only seem to paralyze you. Anything to say about this door? Yeah, we can't go in there yet. Oh, it's a very strong door. Ah, yes, here we go. Here's another dungeon. And of course, it's got this two-layer effect going on here. So, that's real good. That won't confuse us any. Yeah, good layout for everybody when we're using dynamite. Thank you, game. Maybe we can blow this door up with dynamite. Yeah, great idea. Maybe Rolf is just kind of psychotic. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I found these 2 sticks of dynamite in the middle of this one dungeon place. I gotta do something with them. Hey, good job getting a level there, buddy. That's useful. Blaster. So anyway, I started blasting. Wait. Neat. Good job. Hey, she learned a new technique. That's potentially pretty nice. What do you got? You've got Anti and Girez. All right. That's... Well, one of those is going to be useful. I don't know how much poison we encounter for the other one to actually have any use. Oh, get a load of this. Look at these things in tubes. A thing that I do like for reasons of just like early RPG presentation. I've said this before. The shitty Pokemon with a funny name. Which one is that? Because there's kind of not a small amount of those, really. But I really do love how all the enemy sprites are animated in this, which is really not much of a thing in a lot of early RPGs. It would kind of take until the movement to 3D for several of those franchises. Oh, you mean Reuniqueless? Which is apparently what the actual pronunciation is. Everybody just says it Reuniqueless because Reuniqueless is clearly fucking stupid, but I digress. Also, by the way, hooray, Nay learned a technique that lets her self-destruct in order to heal a party member to full. Woo! Yeah, that's a good thing for us to have on probably one of our better attackers at this point. I didn't fucking remember that thing for like a second, okay? There's too many of these Pokemon, and there's too many Pokemon, all right? Every time you look away, it's like they add 3 or 4 new ones. I mean, literally, I don't think we've gone a single Pokemon game since, since Crystal, where they haven't added a new form or something. Oh yeah, we're not prepared to go upstairs yet. But, because, right, Ruby, they added... No, it didn't. Suicune was in Gold and Silver. Ruby and Sapphire obviously added a shitload of new Pokemon. Fire Red and Leaf Green had those two new Deoxys forms. It was one of the 3 dog cats that you encountered at the bottom of the burned tower, and they start running off places, and you may or may not encounter them again due to RNG. Anyway, Emerald added another Deoxys form, which is like, okay, that's not much in the greater scheme, but still. Then you had Diamond and Pearl adding, like, absolutely gross amounts of Pokemon, and by that I mean not nearly as many as Ruby and Sapphire. Heart Gold and Soul Silver definitely added something, and now I can't recall what it is. But there was something in there. Obviously, Black and White added, like, trillions of the bastards. Black 2 and White 2 added the Kyurem forms. X and Y added an amount of Pokemon. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire added more Mega Evolutions, and then Sun Moon. Ultra Sun Moon did something that was unusual for those games by just adding more shit to the Pokedex, period. Well, listen, I think that you'd probably agree that at least Suicune and Gold and Silver would be closer to the good era of Pokemon than the other one was. The fetus Pokemon. So, yeah, yeah, Ultra Sun and Moon added more Ultra Beasts, Sword and Shield, Legends, Arceus. God, maybe Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee didn't add any new Pokemon. No, I think technically Let's Go added Meltan and Melmetal that exist for some reason. And then Legends Arceus added more Pokemon to the thing. And Scarlet Violet, and then the new one, Legends Z to A or something. Yeah, it's Legends Z to A. I was trying to be like, okay, can I call this something funny and like disparaging to sort of do this sort of like, man, I feel a little bit tired of the Pokemon franchise, at least the new ones nowadays, but Za. Or Zaza. Zaz. Pokemon Legends, we named it for the alphabet going backwards because something our dev process is completely ass backwards. Zardoz. That's, you know what? We're just gonna call it Pokemon Legends Zardoz from now on. Clearly, I'd say clearly somebody needs to just like send that to me. And then I can just like learn to hack or something and we can just have a John Zardoz model in there somewhere. Someone's gonna eventually get up my ass for calling him John Zardoz because that's not his literal name, but like, I don't care. It's funnier this way. But I can't even really make that joke about like, oh yeah, because on top of the fact that we're already talking about, hey, people shouldn't tell me to, I shouldn't tell people to purchase things that are like grossly expensive for me because of multiple reasons. But I mean, I only have a Switch 1. It is on regular Switch as well, but I assume that it like performs worse. Yes, this enemy is just called Hit Tail. That's a choice. I don't know why it's called that. Beat ass. Yeah. Yes. I'm not sure why this enemy was named Hit Tail, but hey, here we are. I'm not the one who created like any part of this video game. I mean, the way I talk about this series, you would expect otherwise, and yet here we are. Okay, so Rolf has been getting his ass handed to him, much unlike on Ed, Edd n Eddy, so let's see how expensive and powerful Girez is here. Cost 7, and it restored a decent chunk. Like, at least 50. Which is pretty good. I mean, compared to the other one being 20 and only 3 mana. We'll take it. Yeah, I think that would be really nice. So, I've heard that one of the main people behind this wants to remake it. Unfortunately, that guy did also say, like, hey, I want it to be 3D and stuff, which I don't think that's a great idea. 3D games are probably still a mistake. And unfortunately, I'll make it, like, 10 times worse, because the article that I saw this in, the headline specifically suggested something reminiscent of Genshin Impact, which, like, God, what a loaded way to express a certain level of like, oh, I want it to be a little more action RPG-ish, which also I think eliminates the point, but like, don't say it that way, dude. You know what people associate that game with, dude? It's the fucking microtransaction shit. Like, Jesus. You know, I don't want to associate that idea with that level of scumbaggery. Say what you will about whether or not a 3D version of the game would be a good idea. I can definitely tell you that aping that would be a bad fucking play. Oh, that's disappointing. I'm generally very, like, upset about seeing artists who are just, like, still Twitter exclusive. That bothers me a lot for, quite honestly, a wide variety of reasons. But yeah, also, just to emphasize, I am not reposting people's artwork elsewhere if it's Twitter only. Fuck that. Anyway, we're gonna come in here, we're gonna save. Oh, did we really only play like 15 minutes since I last saved? Streamer, you might be saving a little excessively. You gotta save your ink ribbons. It'll be fine, listen. But yeah, I mean, if they retooled this a little bit with some modern, and by modern I mean more like mid-90s RPG setup, you know, knowledge and better graphical ability, that would be pretty cool. Please don't do a 3D one. I don't think that's such a good idea. That's bound to just be like bothersome. Yeah, exactly. I don't know anything about the PSP version of Valkyrie Profile, but I do know about the FF4. And let me tell you, I will easily take that any day over the DS version of FF4, which is a thing that exists for some reason. Like, I have no real interest in particular in any of the side content in the, like, FF4 spin-offs, but I don't know, Final Fantasy spin-offs are usually not that incredible. Just as sort of a rule, they're a little bit of a butt. Yeah, in case you want this version of the soundtrack that has, like, all the just high parts of the sound chips register because they had really not gotten used to the idea of using more of it by this point, because LOL 1989. Folks, remember, the Genesis was designed to compete with the NES more than the Super Nintendo. Anyway, that's a thing for a whole other time. Am I sure I'm going the right way? The answer is no. Trummers, yeah, they kind of are, aren't they? Unsurprisingly, they loved a lot of various science fiction stuff. I mean, that's kind of the case in Japan in general, right? They loved all of their sci-fi, right? Ooh, neato. Wow, you were just kind of destined to always be a huge dork, weren't you? Wait. It's okay. I still like you. I'm just going to make fun of you forever because I do that anyway. Internet friendship. Neat. Did you learn a good technique this time, Amy? Well, you have good techniques anyway. But you didn't learn... you learned something called SAR. I don't know what that is, but... Wait. Yeah, you stop that, nerd. By nerd, I mean... I don't know why I'm calling you a nerd in this case. Toter. Oh, rude, he slowed me down. Aggie. Wow. Is that where I want to go? I don't think so. No, because it was past a chest, I think, so... Oh, yeah. Okay, right. So here's where we were headed to earlier, and then I warped out because I needed the health. I didn't feel like using too many healing spells. Actually, our HP is doing real good, so I'm not even going to bother now. Now that I was like, wait a second. Go back up. Ah, yes, I love what absolute mazes these places are. It's like Mount Moon, but without Zubats, which means what's the point? Wait. Imagine you go into Mount Moon and there's just no fucking Zubats. That would be a problem. I feel like that would be the thing that would get me to stop playing Pokemon forever. Would just be, hey, we got rid of Zubat on a permanent basis, and I'd just be like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Why? What do you got to tell me about this? I don't have more explosives. What do I look like? I'm just fucking made of dynamite here? Jeez. Well, back we go. It's alright, these fights are still worth money and experience, so... It's not like we completely wasted our time, although I've gotta say... I've said it before, but this... like, scrolling an extra layer up here is really disorienting. We could definitely use a little bit of HP around here. Ah, I see. Close enough in its own right, but it is just sort of like continuing to use Twitter. And listen, Blue Sky isn't without its problems either, but there's a difference between the level of problems involved there, right? Like, a lot of people have been very, very upset about the way certain things have been handled on Blue Sky for a variety of reasons, and I'm not going to call them necessarily wrong. I don't recall Blue Sky's CEO out there making political speeches where he was giving fucking Nazi salutes. So, like, come on. There is kind of a difference here. Anyway. I mean, yeah, that works. That'll do. Oh wow, just a single enemy in this party. Okay. That's not very common anymore. But hey, we'll take it. And she learned a new technique. Let's take a look at it. Oh, she also got sack, so that's great. Hey, we found some more explosives, some more dynamite. It feels like a strange choice to refer to it as dynamite. I mean, yes, I think dynamite would still exist in this sort of sci-fi setting, but wouldn't it be probably some sort of slightly more advanced explosive? Although I guess it was mostly being used earlier by, like, bandits. So maybe they simply did not have access to any sort of, like, military grade kind of shit or anything more advanced than just like, oh yeah, here's whatever explosives we bought off the... Although, I mean, even then... Like, if you're thinking homemade explosive, maybe that's a little too crude for it or something, but that wouldn't be dynamite either. But I guess fertilizer bomb would probably not fit in this entire thing here, because that character limit is... that character limit is a little bit tight. Meanwhile... Yeah, pretty much every ammonium-based fertilizer. Highly explosive. But I think it's just sort of a little bit of that, and also people just doing goofy shit with Megastar Me in general, because it's really goofy. Which, to be fair... Yeah, I mean, Tav, do you ever have you ever seen or just like randomly run into video clips of like what's ammonium nitrate? Yeah, ammonium nitrate, I think, based fertilizers as just stockpiles of them or factories where they're produced just exploding. And it is crazy loud because it's a pretty significant amount of explosive power that it has. So that's great. It's good that industry is that sort of... You get where I'm going with this. Yeah, basically. Oh, whoops, there goes Rudo and Amy again. They were right next to the door. No, don't walk into the pit. Oh, maybe we do have to walk into the pit, actually. Harbor explosion in Beirut. Was that also an ammonium nitrate fertilizer thing? Because I don't remember specifically the instance that you're talking about off the top of my head because, well, bad memory in general, but I can't remember shit anymore, but yeah, I would believe that to be the case. That it would be basically most likely to be ammonium nitrate fertilizer. Because, yeah, that shit gets ridiculously strong. And down this hole we go. Doo, doo, doo. Ooh, there's a bunch of gross red shit on the floor. That looks like some kind of acid. I'm going to assume that that is some sort of, like, damaging tile, kind of like a sort of a Dragon Quest situation. Radioactive haunted blood. I mean... Considering that's not necessarily the stupidest idea either. Yeah, exactly what I'm getting at, Retro. That shit is not great on a lot of levels. Yeah, judging by that screen flicker and the way that we stopped, that's damage zones. Oh, Tav. In that case, I believe when it's spelt that way, T-O-N-N-E-S, that is specifically implying metric tons, I believe, which would be like 1,000 kilos each, right? As opposed to 2,000 pounds, which there is a difference. Ish. No, I'm not going to do that. Don't want to. Listen, I have to walk through all this nasty shit anyway, so... I need something to sort of offset it in some way or another. As I get to think about, oh boy, my resources are... yeah, that's kind of... You're not wrong. I've seen a much greater amount... Well, that's a sentiment that requires several asterisks, I suppose, because even then it's not necessarily a lot. But, like, I knew about Beelstarmon for a while because I saw it in a trophy video. But I've seen a significantly greater amount, again, comparatively, which is like, you know, from 0 to like 3 images of Beelstarmon since the release of Time Stranger. I'm going to hazard a guess that it was not in any of the other recent high profile, air quotes, Digimon games recently. And that's probably why people have been drawing it more, because they're suddenly like, oh my god, this thing is really something. Yeah, Beelstarmon is definitely designed for the Gooners. I mean, sorry. Ooh, that cost. I don't think the HP return on that was pretty good. But, I mean, SAR is still... That would be a useful, like... So from the perspective of game design, I do kind of get it. Of the idea of, like, okay, turn compression sort of thing. Therefore, we have to make the area of effect heal more expensive. But... Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get a little bit accustomed to where I am. Because I do have some resources here to help me out with this, because, hey, this is a hard and confusing game. Especially because my brain doesn't necessarily work that good. In-game, I meant in-game, not... Okay, this looks like an exit, judging by the other place, so let's... Actually have, like, the worst positioning in terms of getting through this shit safely. Good. I'm glad. Anyway, yeah, what I'm saying is that I'm kind of expecting that a lot more people suddenly discover that design. Just like a lot of people are discovering that Digimon as a franchise does some stuff that's generally considered to be a little bit more adult targeted than Pokemon does. Like with all the people who were noticing the content notice on Time Stranger saying like, oh yeah, it's got alcohol and revealing outfits and oh, suicide happens and right, yeah, but also keep in mind that a lot more Digimon are like just kind of designed like humans. Whereas most Pokemon are... that appeal is mostly very specifically for furries. Hey, I didn't say all of them. As I'm just having this sort of like mental image / recollection thing of that guy having like weird, gross human hands, which is not true, but they were a lot more defined than the rest of its body should have suggested. The ghost need to... Digimon, what it... a strange series sometimes. Do you think that if a sheet ghost uses a can, it just sort of wipes with part of itself? Oh, that's horrible. Never mind. Wow, alright. Good job, Chuckle Nuts. Soup can. Oh, okay. Sometimes you are kind of a goofball. Right, here. Hey, get some health back. It's only 20. Yeah, see, if this floor wasn't full of radioactive ghost blood, I'd probably be in a lot better shape. Unfortunately, I'm assuming that whoever owns this place fired the fucking janitor, so... Or they just got, like, ate by all the giant bugs or something. Actually, that's probably a little bit more likely, now that I think about it. Yeah, I think calling it the can is probably a very, like, outdated phrase, but that doesn't seem to stop me saying stupid shit like that. Yeah, there seems to be a bit of a bug issue here. I don't know. No idea how this happened to the future. Why it's so full of bugs. Oh, we're really pushing it a little bit here. I mean, Nae's at less than 20 HP, so of course we're definitely... Eesh. Yeah, Rolf, you just have... Oh no, you do have res. I can actually have him take on some of the healing burden, I guess. That's right. If you want to get into that roulette, you're gonna choose a green class and you're gonna fucking like it, buddy. Ah, shit. Well, that's not so great. There goes a good chunk of our DPS. At least, hopefully, we should be almost done with this place. I'm gonna just try to keep pushing and see if we can get out of here. And then we can show off reviving someone. Wow. Okay, these guys at least are not super strong. They're not the, like, higher tier that we're seeing here. I probably should be a little bit more economical with my steps at this point, because we are slightly up against it here. It's alright, Amy probably still needs the EXP anyway, so, like, it's fine-ish. Yay, we got the recorder. That's the main thing that we need to do. We need to dislodge this instrument from outside of this or something. Wait. Okay. Town. We're gonna teleport before we heal. Gonna use some fast travel and go back to Passio because we kind of have to. Oh god, we have a lot more money now. That's very good. So before we can actually heal our party to full, because we kind of want Nay to be back to life, where is the resurrection place? There we go. Look at this fellow. And we resuscitate people by cloning them. Apparently. So, we're all done. That's interesting. Hey, that's a fun sci-fi way to present that idea. And now we gotta go to the main tower here, I think. Yep. Hey, guess what? We got this thing. Yeah, I know, it's a strange choice, but I assume that it's like heal is your HP and cure is your status. Well, I mean, I know heal is your HP. Hey, welcome to really, really old games when they were being a little too economical with words. Of course, on the other hand, I don't think I blame them because, hey, we are talking about the cartridge era of software. And those old RPGs that were on the big cartridges could get grotesquely expensive. Very recently, I in fact learned that the price of Phantasy Star 4, when it came out originally on cartridge, this was, I think, 1995 in America. 24 megabit cartridge, which was not unusual for a lot of the big SNES RPGs. I think Chrono Trigger was that kind of size. Secret of Evermore. Definitely a couple of the Final Fantasies. That game was $100 when it came out at its list price, which, yeah, and the very first Phantasy Star game, which was a 4 megabit cartridge on the Master System, was $70 when it came out in 1988. I think 1988 is when it came out in the US. So, yeah, I kind of understand the word economy because otherwise you're going to end up with some stupidly expensive things that will not move. Oh, hey, that's a graph. Before and after the introduction of generative AI. Wait. The energy which was to be used by Climatrol to control temperature and rainfall seems to have flowed into the biosystems lab. Biohazard could be something that was schemed up by someone. You think so? Ooh, he gives us a doodad. He doesn't even tell us what it is. So we got a new party member available here. He's got short purple hair. Hugh Thompson. This guy probably... Is this another Gundam man? He do kind of look a little bit like a couple of Gundam dudes. I'm trying to place if Rolf looks like anyone in particular. Mostly I just think that Rolf kind of looks like... he kind of looks like Marth a little bit. But obviously the original Fire Emblem wasn't out, so... Hey, Nintendo ripped Sega off again. I'm mostly kidding about that part, but I digress. Looks more like a Macross guy. I get you. This guy is a biologist, and I'm not much for nicknames, so... Now, Hugh is basically our mage, if I recall correctly. That he has a lot of techniques that are very very specifically oriented toward dealing with the various biological monsters that we encounter. Yeah, he does kind of look like somebody, well, I mean, it makes sense that he looks like someone from the 80s, but unfortunately, my problem is that I think of Macross characters, and I do not recall what a lot of them look like off the top of my head. And obviously, it doesn't do to think of, like, anyone from Frontier or anything like that. That was from the 2000s. So, yeah, sorry, I got a little distracted there. I am trying to decide if I actually want to use him. I suppose if nothing else, we'll give him a shot and just see how this goes for now. Alright, so we'll take Hugh, and we'll take Amy, I guess. We got ourselves a party built. And now first thing to do is to go and save. See, he needs 34 EXPs to gain a level. That's a lot of EXPs. I don't know why I started saying it as EXPs, but I don't know. I think sometimes I just mispronounce things to be irritating as part of the bit. So I think we can kind of make a bit of a run for the next town. I could have made this a little bit easier by using the teleport center to go back to Opta. Whatever it is. But the point is that we've got a key that we can use to go past the location here. Location, yes. I stopped using my brain for a moment. I apologize. But we go from the biosystems lab, and there's a tube down to the south that we can go through. And we should be able to open this with our key tube. As opposed to tube key, I guess. It's okay, translation is hard, etc. Alright, we got ourselves a slightly different colored weird worm guy. Ooh, the pinch ants. These are the guys that we saw in part of the facility earlier. Ouch, they hurt like a bastard. That was like over half of Rolf's HP in one go. Sheesh. One turn. Yo, what the hell is this thing? Isn't this one of those barriers in Metroid Fusion that stops you from getting places if you don't have the power bombs? Ooh, that wasn't great. Got some sort of area of effect attack, apparently. But it didn't seem to do damage, so okay. Or maybe it did, but only on part of the party. Ah, yes, from hit tail to center. Alright. Sure, that's an enemy name. That makes total sense. Aside from all the ways in which it does not. God, our team's accuracy is not good, by the way. I'm sure you're not super surprised to hear that, but just to hammer it home, everybody. Amy, use Girez on Rolf. I could probably use Sar and at least get Hugh a little bit more up to speed, but I'm sure I'll be fine for now anyway. Until I inevitably am not. Oh, hey, look, there's a hit tail again. Hit butt. Wait. Ouch, you just took some pretty serious damage there. Learned a new technique. Can we read what his techniques are outside of battle? I don't think so. Yeah, it's a pity. Is this the place? I think this is the place. So, We should be okay to use some techniques here. Oh, you've got Gra, and you've got a higher level version of the Thunder move, I guess. Neat. Well, Sagen, I think, is an area of effect move, so that's pretty handy. Hey, where am I? Where are you, for that matter? Just stuck there, okay. Our friends in Roron. Used to eat something before going under the ocean. Yeah? That's not very specific. Oh no, humans! Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably about the correct response to the existence of humans. Humans. Okay, we've got some stuff here. We got a boomerang, we got a laser slasher, laser bars, acid shot, silent shot, laser shot. Yeah, Robotrek, that's an interesting game. I haven't played that in a minute. Alright, so let's go ahead and upgrade Nay a little bit, because not a bad idea. Usually. To give her some better equipment. Judging by this guide, I don't think I'm in the right town based on the items that are available to us. Well, that's fine, I guess. We'll figure this out eventually. Or maybe we won't. Alright, what do we got here? Actually, no, it's looking a little more... It's not, actually, never mind. Knife boots. I can create a knife boot. Wait. So I'm just taking a look here because, yeah, I'm very much in the wrong place, so I gotta go through here and just make sure that I am scrolling through these parts of the guide correctly to... Yeah. Alright. Buy the titanium chest for Rolf. And Hugh can use one of those too, which is kind of surprising because I wouldn't really expect him to be able to as a mage. Right? That doesn't seem too weird. And titanium cape for Amy. And knife boots for Nay. What a phrase. Two acid shot. Can we buy that here? Buy acid shot here, right? Do I have... I don't have enough money for even one. Okay. I'm a little bit up the creek on that one. Of course, everything is kind of costly, so I guess it's not too weird, is it? Oh yeah, remember to equip your gear, you idiot. That way I don't go in there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell my old gear, and then I find out, oops, I am not able to do that. You just have a cape upgrade. To a cape made out of titanium. Yes, I'm sure that that's how anything works, right? I don't think I'm gonna need the poison shot. Anytime anybody makes a huge Shaz joke, I just think of... I think of the bit on The Simpsons where it's Bart prank calling Moe again, and under the name Huge Jazz, and a guy actually is there named Huge Jazz, and he's just like, well, I'm Huge Jazz, and I can take the call, and he takes the call, and Bart's like, yeah, this is a prank call that just kind of went sideways. I want to back out of this now. Oops. And then he's just like, what a nice young boy that was. It's very funny. I'm not reproducing it well because of obvious reasons, but anyone who's ever seen it probably knows the dumb bit that I'm talking about because of reasons. Alright, well, now Amy can actually fight, which is good. I mean, she could before, but I just really didn't have her doing that in the first place. So I clearly ended up in the wrong town, so I skipped over something. I didn't go up that tube in the middle, but I think that I just assumed that I, like, could not, perhaps. Alright, Hugh, why don't you try out that Sagan move again? Because the AoE damage there. Might be kind of good. Yeah, see, that did a good chunk of work. Yeah. Basically, yes. Wolfgang. Wait, no. Wolfang, pardon me. That's not the guy from, Mega Man X6. A game that I did play on this channel a long time ago, unfortunately. That's a game that definitely exists for some reason. Sagan and Rolf, you go ahead and use Zan on those guys, because that hits all of them of the same type, which is nice. Sort of makes me think a little bit of how Earthbound had the row hitting fire spells. Obviously not exactly the same, but that's a game where it tends to be like all the enemies of the same type are on the same row. So, a little bit sideways, basically, of the idea, but not dissimilar. I'm coming in here to use fast travel to go back to the other, the earlier town. What was it? Oh, it's Oputa in here instead of Opta as it was in the dialogue earlier. Yes, the town of Oputa. That's... I know it's because of just translation and stuff. It's a little jank, but anyway. Oh, I see. It's... Of course, a lot of characters in various comic series tend to vary quite heavily depending on who the author is at any given period. Alright, so this will be the place I need to be in, right? This is Zima, over by the... Oh, well, that's not much of a lake anymore. Yeah, vehicles aren't much of a thing, huh? A jet scooter, huh? That might be useful to us. It sounds like we need to have ocean travel. Garbage smell in Roron? There's a bunch of these dudes are just like standing around being confused, huh? What the... What? Or nobody has ever been. Yeah, like half of the people in this town are not very useful except to tell me that, hey, Roron is a place to go. Oh, wrong window I just put up on that side screen. Let's take a look at what we get here. Oh, those laser knives are expensive as shit. Oh, God. Oh, geez. I'm going to need many of those. Plus, I still need another acid shot for Amy. And The recommendation is 2 each for Rolf and for Hugh. Yeesh. Where's my B button here? Yeah, so the prices on this stuff gonna be a little bit rough, basically. How about the rest of this? Titanium. That'll be our titanium helmet, surely, right? And we can at least upgrade Rolf to some boots from his shoes, I suppose. Hugh, you get boots as well. All right. Amy can get those eventually, but she needs the equipment less than our other party members do. At least for now. Wrong one. You have shoes I can sell also. And give those to Amy. And once we have that equipped, it'll be time for me to go and just grind a shitload of gold, apparently. Well, this part of the experience is probably not going to be super interesting, and I apologize. Because we need to get at least a laser helmet, 2 laser helmet, what the fuck? I'm sorry, I kind of mangled a couple of things there, but we need at least 4 of those laser daggers, another acid shot for Amy, and I think there's still some armor we need to pick up in the far off town there. God, the encounters outside of this area are not great, so I'm gonna make my way more toward the other town. It seemed like they were a little stronger and, more importantly, a little more valuable over that direction. God, nasty noises. I definitely need to remember to heal everybody up in a sec here. And by that I mean after this fight, because, yeah, it's already almost over. Hey, neat. Hugh learned another technique. That's helpful. I think we've seen this variant of the snake enemy, the Spitfang. I'm fast-forwarding through the fight anyway, because... yeah, most of these are pretty much the same fight, really. Ooh, yikes, there's an actual poison move. Alright. Again, haven't seen one of those yet, and our new frog enemies are just called squats. So does poison not deal damage in battle? Possibly just on the overworld? That would be interesting. Cast anti. And it's only 2 MP, that's good. Ah, Reptile, yes, very descriptive. It's not the guy from Mortal Kombat. Of course, Hugh isn't really doing a ton of damage because he's unarmed right now, but hey. Fan bite, huh? That's a... that's a bit of a not correct seeming name, I think. So what's our HPs looking like? It's looking like cast Ryuka real quick and head on back to what I think is... yeah, we're not in the water city, are we? Are we? Oh no, we're back at... we're all the way back in... yeah, because it checks by last save point. That's actually okay, because we had to heal for the cheapest in Passio. Because this game is rude. Anyway. Fast travel. Back to... Okay, I guess Kueri must be the other place, right? The one that's furthest away. And so we can grab a second acid shot now. And then we go find the item shop and we go sell our shit, and if we just hang out outside of here for a little while, we should be alright to... get ourselves going a little bit here. Because these fights are starting to get not hard again. So that's good. Also, we probably should save while we're here, shouldn't we? Wow, nice of you to just block the path, buddy. Okay, good. We can walk around without walking out of town. I was slightly worried for a second. Yeah, everybody needs a fair chunk of experience to level up here. Alrighty. Wow, great damage distribution, guys. Really trying not to win any fights there, apparently. This Terrakite enemy is a little durable, but not too bad. We can put up with it. Alright. Come on. Yeah, these guys are fairly durable, but I guess they do kind of look the part, so it's not as weird as all that, but mildly frustrating at times anyway. Oh, that's what that Discord notification is. Just to notice that somebody is streaming. Ooh, you gained a level. That's nice. Ooh, wow, Rolf is getting his ass kicked in here. Eesh. Nasak, I believe, is a move that recovers everybody to full at the cost of sacrificing the character. But I don't know for sure offhand, so... I don't know, I think I would just recommend not pressing that one because it's a sacrificial move. Information that you would really only have through the manual. What's our money situation looking like? 5 grand. We're not even ready for the weapons I want to buy yet. Which will be... Or really even the first set of them, because fuck, I just remembered. Yeah, we're talking about 4,400 per knife, so it's 8,800 a character. Jeez. Oh boy. We need like 17 grand or so total. But at bare minimum, I can get Hugh his 2, and that'll start things going for us. That'll just be for the weapons. I still have to get some armor. Some of the armor, anyway. Not all of it, but some. Alright. Quick check. I want to wait to go in until I have 8,800 at least to get Hugh both of his knives. Otherwise, I'll feel a little bit silly. So, yeah, gonna take us another couple of fights here. Oh, that thing is casting Zalor, I guess. So it's dealing our defense debuff to us. I have never noticed that before. Okay, now we can go across and go get our daggers for the purple hair kid. Yeah, this is one of the big downsides of this game, I think, is just the sheer amount of grinding involved. Again, very early in RPG design history, so they weren't necessarily sure of what they were doing. But it still kind of is butts. You don't need that scalpel anymore. I think we got everybody their titanium equipment from Kureri, I think. Take a quick check. Well, yeah, we still don't have the headgear because that is obtained in the other town. So Rolf is lacking that, but he's got his boots. And I think is up to date. Hugh still needs the titanium gear from this other town, and the same is true of Amy. So it looks like all I need right now are 2 laser knives and 3 titanium gear, which are 1,400 each. It's 28. 4,200, so I need exactly 13,000 Meseta before I can be done getting everybody's gear. And what are we sitting at right now? 988. And we gain a little bit over 200 a fight. It's usually closer to at least 250, but over 200 a fight. So this is going to take a minute. This is one of the things that made me at least slightly wary of playing this game, because I was quite aware of the fact that this was going to be quite a grind-heavy game, so... And I don't like doing a lot of on-camera grinding, because it sucks to watch. It's boring. Yeah, I mean, at least there's that, but that's still... Well... I don't know, it's just... It always just kind of strikes me as being a thing that's like, wouldn't you rather see actual game progress happen? Oh god, our HP is not great. I'm gonna need to throw some heal spells out. Or... actually go spend money, which I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend the money on stuff. We're gonna... instead, just throw out some Gi-Res to some folks. These are some of those. I think that's probably enough HP for the moment. I'll wait to worry about that again until I go use a heal spell, you know? Go to a healing state. God, I'm a little... Yeah. Little bit of a kerfuffle, you know. I'm already not always great at speaking, and here I am doing real bad at it. Even more than usual. Yeah, it's just... I don't know, I think it would... The folks would at least prefer to see, like, different content, you know? And at bare minimum, at least when you do randos, that's at least something... In theory, you should be seeing new things start to crop up from those. Even if it is like, hey, here's the same game over and over again. I really could never stream speedrunning or anything like that, because I feel like that'd get old. Or new bugs. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Oh, jeez. Yeah, those pinch ants hurt like a bastard. And that can cause us some issues. We would prefer not to have anybody die because that is a significantly larger cost to incur than just going to the hospital. And we're trying to be fairly frugal with our money here. Even if we are healing at the most expensive location, it would... No, it wouldn't be cheaper to use fast travel because we'd have to go both ways. Oh. Yeah, okay, don't go that way. That's slightly weird looking, just the perspective. Yeah, I think the exact idea, well, is getting a little bit more interest nowadays, but for a while, people were probably just like, oh, well, this isn't very good, and all the like, oh, well, it's so bare bones and all this. And listen, I just kind of think that a lot of reviews have kind of done irreparable damage to a lot of things, and this sort of need for objectivity on some level kinda, to a lot of people, just like is a little bit harmful in their own way. Let's deal with this Wolfgang here. Neat, Rolf gained a level. Hello. Well, yeah, it is kind of the worst by virtue of being Pro Jared, but I digress. I didn't want to be the person who is going to be like, oh, yeah, specifically, he did a large amount of irreparable damage to the game, because... But I definitely think that's probably like the closest to a high-profile internet review, and let's be honest here, a lot of internet reviews... not good at a lot of that stuff. And yeah, I feel like this version of it is probably going to be your most folks' best bet for playing this. Okay, we've got enough for the weapons that I want, but the equipment, the defensive equipment, honestly, it might not be a bad idea to pick those up now, but... Yeah, because we're doing good damage. So while we can do better by getting those last couple of laser knives for Rolf, we can probably wait, like, however long it'll take me for that. Oh no, that's in the other town. Whoops. Yeah, keep in mind I'm being very mean about the fact that it is just like, yeah, hey, bad person, but it is also just in general that a lot of folks who do video reviews online tend to be aiming for more of like a, hey, make fun of this game sort of thing a lot of the time, and they will say a lot of very bad things that are incorrect. I did not play the normal version of this game before. This is my first time playing it. But it's been... Oh, whoops. That was me accidentally holding down an input a little too much there. This has been sort of a hole in my gaming knowledge that I've wanted to fill for a while, as one of those very major important games historically. Because, of course, this was a very early RPG. In fact, a very interesting fact that I learned recently that I was not aware of. This game actually came out, in fact, a few months before the original Final Fantasy did in the US. In Japan, that's not the case, but of course, a lot of the very earliest RPGs were delayed quite heavily before they came out in the States. I think the original Dragon Quest was either 1988 or 1989 in America, significantly earlier in Japan. So Phantasy Star, the original Phantasy Star came out before the first Dragon Quest did, even in America, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so for a lot of people, this was like their very first RPG of Eastern origin. And of course, quite a lot of them did not come out here in America. I mean, there were some Megami Tensei games that were released in Japan at this point that, of course, did not make it to the West because, well, I don't think any localizer really was sure what to do inside of the content guidelines for what to do with the SMT series. And they were just kind of like, yeah, it's not going to happen whatsoever. And a lot of these games also are just so text heavy that translation can take a long, long time. I don't really need to be in here right now, but... Okay, I have got the money for all the gear that I need, I believe. So we can go here and we can fast travel over. To Zema. And first things first, we want to grab Rolf a couple of daggers, right? A couple of laser knives. Yeah, just double checking here. And then the titanium gears. Yes, that is correct for... Actually, hold on. I think that's a little bit blendered, but... Because the Phantasy Star 1 and FF1 came out within a couple days of each other thing is true in Japan. And Final Fantasy 1 came out in 1990 in America. I remember that. And it was like, I want to say August 1990 or something like that. Meanwhile, Phantasy Star 2 came out in like March or April of 1990 in America. And yeah, Phantasy Star 1 came out not very far off from when it came out in Japan. Somewhere in the... like less than a year sort of territory. It came out in 1988 in America, if I recall correctly. I've actually been writing a lot of this shit down recently, and I'm not even looking at it, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but yeah. I mean, Sega, I think, was doing okay in Japan for a lot of that stuff, but the Mark III, or at least the SG-1000, was having some rough go. I recall that. Things got better for them with the Genesis. So, which is also kind of true of elsewhere in the world, I guess, because, yeah. Yeah, it is generally just makes me a little bit sad that this series tends to fall by the wayside outside of the folks who are, like, the big fans of it. Because genuinely, even aside from the fact that, like, this is something of great historical importance, I think that these games are pretty decent. I mean, they're hard as fuck. They are not easy games by RPG standards, and that can be a little bit rough at times because generally a hard RPG means you're spending more time grinding stuff, and I don't know that that's always great. Like, I think that there's a couple of games that have done good jobs of setting up a counter to that. Like, Chrono Cross is very good at countering the need for grind. Unfortunately, Chrono Cross is also, like, baby tier easy, so, you know, not really a great use of that. Again, in my opinion, there's probably some people who will disagree with me on that one, but I think the only time I ever had any difficulty with Chrono Cross was either trying to get the final boss to cooperate so that way I could do the pattern, or trying to get the special item from the Cryosphinx. But I last played that an absolute eternity ago, so I couldn't tell you if I'm correct or not. That would have been back when the remake, well, remake I say, but it doesn't feel necessarily appropriate to call it a remaster, came out. So, yeah. Basically, yeah, FF8, it was one of those games that's pretty interesting. FF8 really does not get its due, I don't think, nowadays, which is quite unfortunate, because it's a pretty good game, in my opinion. Okay, so the place I need to go is somewhere in the south part of the map. I remember that from what I saw earlier. Reading some information, because yeah, I have a lot of that in here, because this game is not necessarily very forthcoming, and I talk to the NPCs. So either I'm missing stuff or, yeah. But yes, as a very major influential game in the entire history of RPGs, I genuinely think that it's kind of a shame that a large amount of the Phantasy Star franchise kind of gets left by the wayside. I mean, I love the original PSO. I rather less enjoy the sequels to that, but I don't know that they're bad. So I understand why those are things that stay, like, I understand why those are things that stay relevant, but I very much think that it's a huge, huge shame that this series is not, this part of the series, rather, isn't really staying very much in the public, the collective conscience, the culture as much. Although, there was that tabletop game that was released very recently. And that is, like, pretty much almost all pre-universe Phantasy Star stuff. So maybe that will make some people give it a little bit more thought, and maybe we'll have something more than just whatever was going on in Chapter 5 of PSO2. Not that I remember jack diddly shit about that part of PSO2. Because PSO2 fell off pretty hard, basically, like, after episode 2 of it. So, rip there. And yeah, I'm quite surprised that Sega does not lean on the fact that this game franchise, even aside from the fact that it's this big nostalgia thing, that it's so legitimately... Like, I would think that people would be very positive nowadays about the fact that it's a very early RPG series with a female protagonist. In fact, a very early game series with a female protagonist, period. People have gotten very strongly attached to Samus recently, and I don't blame them. I feel that there's kind of... I have some odd feelings about Samus at times because of the fact that it was this surprise reveal throughout the game as opposed to something that they were necessarily pushing forward. And there are some comments that I've read from one of the game developers that sat very oddly... Game developers. I mean, that's true, but character designers, pardon me, that sat very oddly with me in a certain way, and I still kind of hold that in a certain way of like, okay, yes, Samus is a great female character now. Back before, like, Metroid Prime or so, though, I have some opinions that would get some people very angry at me. But I'd also have to call up some old interviews for that again and, like, reread those and see that I wasn't necessarily misreading them at the time. But yeah, like, I think that people would go absolutely crazy over if Sega were to push Alice and Ney very hard. Like, I think people would be very into that. You'd certainly at least attract a newer base of people to play these games, especially now that you had the Sega Ages version of Phantasy Star 1 available. And you have this version, which is somewhat more, you know, tooled to be a little bit more friendly. Even if not necessarily so much on the informational front, but that's game dev for you, I guess. Welcome to the late 80s, right? So, I would love to see them pick up that a little bit. Sega is usually not actually bad at doing decision-making with their own software, especially nowadays. So, I mean, listen, at least put a couple more references to it somewhere in the RGG games, right? People freaking love Yakuza. It wouldn't be a bad time to remind somebody of like, hey, we also did this other really cool thing. We are the history of this medium. Anyhow, make sure that I press the correct skill there because Sack and Nasak, I don't really want to... You weren't listening for like an hour. Yeah, I know you weren't, dude. Of course not. So yeah, like that shit would go really hard, and yeah, it's just very, very strange and a little bit sad what has happened to it as a franchise. I am disappointed because Sega otherwise is making good decisions. Like even with the Sonic franchise, people have... You notice that a lot of the memeing on the Sonic franchise doesn't seem to apply very much to any of the newer shit, right? Like, even the haters know that they're doing a good job. And in a case like that... Oh, that NPC is quite a mood. You know, in a case like that, when you can get the Sonic haters to admit that Sega is doing a good job with Sonic, or at least that they're not like, oh, cringe at every time they see a funny animal mascot, you know they're doing at least something right. So Sega is capable of good decisions. It's just that it hasn't filtered down to this series yet. Maybe one day. Again, that RPG book fills me with a lot of hope. Also, I'm gonna get lost as hell in this place. Oh, hey, it's the fourth version of our Reuniclus sprite color swap, palette swap here. I think that's the fourth version that we see. Yeah, because there was another version prior to Vortex, and then there was the rest of them that we've seen today. Yeah, again, it's just like, hey, Sega knows what they're doing. I just really want them to pick back up to this franchise and go like, hey, we can do something with this that's a little bit more interesting than VTuber tie-ins for the cosmetic gacha for PSO2, right? Yeah, I'm surprised that it took them that long to have like an actual set of parkour mechanics. I will say this, that the only Sonic game that I've played since Sonic 06 is... I played a little bit of... Okay, that's not true what I'm about to say. I apologize. Because Sonic Mania, obviously, should probably be counted in there as well. But other than Sonic Mania, the only 3D Sonic game that I've played, I guess. There we go. And those are probably going to be like the big flagship things that Sega looks at a little bit more. I played a little bit of Sonic Frontiers. I was like, what the hell was it called? Whoops. And I don't know that Sonic Frontiers is a bad game. But I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's just daunting. I would like to pass a little bit here. I will try out something different. And Amy, you can go ahead and... Oh, you actually... Oh, you have Foy, actually. That's kind of impressive. D-Band is a little bit more normal, so yeah. Yeah, I suppose that would probably be very likely to be the case because, yeah, they only managed to get out Phantasy Star 1 and 2. They were supposedly working on one for Phantasy Star 4, and it never happened, which is kind of a pity because I think Phantasy Star 4 would definitely be a little bit easier of a sell for a lot of people than some of the previous games, especially back then. Like, depending on how much quality of life stuff would be added. Because, like, I know that the Phantasy Star Generations remakes are a little bit different. Jet scooter, huh? That'd be quite useful. Yeah, can you, like, show me how to make one of those? Because I know for a fact I'm going to need that in the future. Climatrol is out in the ocean, and we already kind of know that that's our next major goal. Actually, speaking of Phantasy Star 4, a thing that I find to be kind of a shame is that I'm a little surprised that other franchises really did not pick up very much on the macro idea, that you could, like, build combat macros. That was kind of cool. That's one of those things that I'm like, that's really smart. Why is nobody else doing it? Unless it's one of those cases of just being like, well, it's patented in some way. That they can't, that other companies can't use it. Like, for a while, that was a thing that was stopping anybody from doing, for example, the sanity effect stuff from Eternal Darkness, which is also a cool idea that hasn't really been expanded out to many other games. It still hasn't, but to be fair, it's probably really hard to set something up like that. Yeah, see, it's more like, again, just the idea that Phantasy Star 4 is already a game that is much easier to get into. So I think that might make people maybe a little more interested, but again, hell if I know what necessarily any audience would always be like, so... Okay, so are we done here? There doesn't seem to be anything else to do. Yeah, I guess just a lot of things did not, like, cotton on to that style very much. Yes, I did talk to both the guys who were down there. And one of them said they were talking about having made a jet scooter. And one of them said that they were going to demo it sometime later. So I guess maybe go outside and see if that's going on. Okay, and if we're good to go, then that's great. Yeah, slight pity about how bumpy this can be, but you know, this was kind of game design in the late 80s, right? Oh, hey, that must be the jet scooter. So let's take a look. It's a note attached. We love going through garbage itself, so we don't need this. Anyone can have it. Hey, I mean, if they're just gonna hang out and do their scrap digging, and they'll just leave this for us, why not? And yeah, I guess those canals are probably all blocked off because of the dam still being in place. I see we've got some new enemies as well on the water here. Now I think would be a good time. So I don't have all the resources to hand that this originally came with, for perhaps unsurprising reasons, but I think we can go look at some stuff on the map now, right? Like, I think this had a map of this location of Motavia. So I'm pulling up one on the internet here to get a look at what places are available to us. It looks like there's another city available to us. And then there's some other stuff to explore on the islands, but we'll probably cover that next time. I want to go and check out the new city and at least have a new save point and stuff. I probably should also fairly soon go check back at Rolf's house for new party members. But I'm getting a little bit close to my wrap-up time, so I assume that just getting to the new town will take me that long. So we'll look into that at the beginning of the next session, I suppose. Because, yeah, we found, like... We already went to the town of Kareri, and we went to Zima, and we didn't go back to get party members for either of those. Yeah, because I got Hugh, like, right after dealing with the Biosystems lab. Assuming that I'm recalling correctly. So we should probably have access to some new characters, at least sometime soon. There are, I believe, a grand total of 7 characters in the game, if I recall correctly. So out of them, we're missing Sheer and... oh, someone else. Crap, I do not recall all the names of the characters offhand. I remember Sheer because very early video game thief who actually stole stuff, but it does work in kind of a strange way. Is basically the simplest way that I can describe it, because to be honest with you, I only remember like part of the details anyway. It's something about her going into shops and stealing things if you enter them, and then you have to go back to your house to go pick her up again. But she will sometimes get some very interesting gear, and it depends quite heavily on her level, I believe. So not quite stealing as we know it, but still. Ooh, we got a decent chunk of gear here. Mostly guns, quite a lot of them very expensive. So once we have Rudo back in the party, ooh boy, there's going to be some expense occurring for that. Ooh boy. What do you got for defense gear? We've got quite a lot, actually. I want to take a look and see if... I want to see what I can actually use with anyone with this. Real quick. I mean, I guess I could just, like, poke through by attempting to buy things with everyone, but, so I don't know if she... I don't know if I need much out of here for now, actually. Despite all the ceramic upgrades. Maybe it's for later, because obviously we got a bunch of stuff to do up to Climatrol, and this is our last town for a minute. Ah, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, like I sort of implied, I do not have great memory about what I learned of the mechanics a while ago. Because, yeah, this is a game that I've read up a decent chunk about, but up until now, this is the first time that I've actually played it. And my ability to retain information, not always perfect, but we're here to save, and that is going to be where we cut the stream off for the end of the evening, because, yeah, I've been at this for about 3 hours. And I feel accomplished. I feel like we got quite a bit done. Maybe because we spent all that work upgrading our gear.